Well, see, they knew this. It was just that you put a bug on them.
Put a bug on them, man.
Here's the thing is, I had met with some of the families who were victimized by some of this stuff. Okay, especially it was one. I think it was at the old library. We had one conference, and I think I went with Darnell Jackson or whatever during that time period, and I met with some of these people, and I saw something that kind of disturbed me. They would send the police department would send a couple of detectives down, whatever, and they would listen to everybody, what everybody had to say. But there was no. When I looked at them, I looked at the families. They're desperately pleading for investigations and crying at the same time. Okay, they lost their son, brother, sister, nephew, whatever. Okay, to these little knuckleheads on the street, and the detectives were so calm, and they gave them a canned reply like, well, once again we're very sorry about this, but we're gonna try to look into this, but understand there's only so much we can do, this and that. And I can't remember what I said, but it was something in my usual, trying to like, look, what the heck are you guys doing here in the first place? Okay, and they say, well, we're just here to listen to the families, and doing this. So I says, okay, all right, they got damage. They send their damage control here. Yeah. They're not trying to find nobody. Their thing is you niggas are killing each other, and you keep on doing it. We'll pretend we care. We'll send somebody out there to listen to you. But after that, it's going to be business as usual.
One thing that I end up doing all the funerals. Mm-hmm. Even if it was just me.
I've seen you do one of them, at least one or two of them.
Even if it was just me.
Yeah.
I would get to the church, and I would stand next to that casket and give that family some honor.
Right.
Honor. And I was hooked up with one of the funeral homes. Well, I was really in contact with all of them, but one in particular, the one that was on Ferry, because people was having problems burying their young folks, man.
Really?
They didn't have no insurance. So we was finding monies to get folks buried, going to the house, giving them some kind of comfort. Then I'm at the funeral. It was like, I remember a lady said, Mark, I've seen you at 6 funerals. Do you know any of these people? I said, I don't know none of these people. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is what my heart is telling me I need to do. And therefore, because I was part of the coalition, it gave the coalition a name. But the coalition didn't have me doing that. I was doing it.
Well, see, here's the thing. And I've heard critics of the coalition. Like I hear critics about every in Buffalo. Yeah. Okay, and you guys, you did your part. It's not just at the funerals. You went to the funerals. Mm-hmm. You stopped a lot of conflict.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not just hearing this from you. I heard the same. I discussed this with Coco. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? One or two other people about the things that you guys had done. And
sitting gang members down,
right,
on the long table, diffusing it.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got brothers on this side. Mm-hmm. This brother shot this brother. They looking at each other, and we closing it down.
Right.
Giving them some different.
That is amazing.
It's very amazing.
And I used to say back then, I says, you don't hear about that because that is one less story you got to read in the newspaper.
You don't hear about it.
If you shut down, you diffuse one conflict, that's one less story you're going to hear about within the next few days or the next couple of weeks in the paper.
I get
people. So you can't count what you don't see.
You
can only count what you see and say, oh, look at this. Here's murder number 15. Mm-hmm. Where was Mark and them? where was the Stop the Violence Coalition? No, don't count like that.
No.
Count backwards.
No.
Count, subtract. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Okay? And what am I doing?
What am I doing?
What am I doing?
This brother has his own family. He has his own household. He has his own children. But yet and still, he's out here for all these strangers.
Strangers in all hours of the day.
All hours. I'm talking about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I mean, and it's like I said, because of my sleep habits, it's only 2 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing for me to jump up at 3 o'clock in the morning,
right,
and be out there.
Yeah.
You know, because my lifestyle was already set. It's like my lifestyle was put in place for what my work was in the coalition years before. Years before, my body, my mindset. Look, my grandmother, when I was grammar school, took me to a funeral home to see a dead body and told me never to be afraid of death. She pumped that into me. I mean, I'm at a funeral home looking at dead bodies. Why is my grandmother doing this? All these years later, all that stuff made sense to me now, because she didn't know that 15 years later or 20 years later that most of my work was going to be dealing with dead bodies. But I was already put in position to be able to deal with death.
Yeah.
Not to be afraid of it. Because I'm telling you, man, all the funerals that I did, smelling those dead bodies, looking at those dead bodies, you know, and seeing the mothers down in the first row, always with the third seat, with those tears in their eyes, and me standing there, giving them some type of comfort that somebody care about this brother that you don't even know. But I know what you're going through based on me doing this work.
Right.
I know this hurts. I don't care what he did. I don't care how many enemies he had. This hurts.
Sure.
Because you're never going to be able to talk to this brother again.
Right.
Ever. Done. And now you got this young brother, Marc Fuller, who done been to our house, done brought things to our house, and in some cases helped us get the insurance to help put this to rest. And he's out here fighting against this. He's out here fighting against this particular incident of murder, so therefore somebody else can save their child.
Yeah.
And since I've been sick, I remember getting that first call from one of the councilmen. Said, "Mark, it ain't the same out here without you." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It ain't the same out here without you." And that touched me, because that's somebody who is paying attention. And like I said, everybody that I cut off and cut back, it was something that I had to do, because I'm true to the game, man. You know, I'm true to the street life, because I rolled on the street. And see, you can't be in this game if you ain't touched it.
Right.
I rolled in the streets, and you know, I know my oldest daughter would say, "Dad, you sit down with the mayor, all the politicians, and the drug dealers. You crisscross."
Yeah.
I said, "Baby, because I've been through all this. I got into the politic game when I met Bill Peoples. Wait a minute. I'm saying his name wrong. Bill Peoples, I know that guy too, but..."
Well, I was going to ask you about Bill Peoples in a few minutes anyway.
Bill Peoples is we met through the coalition.
Okay.
And Bill Gator.
Right.
Bill Gator.
Yes.
Introduced me to politicians. He introduced me to the Art Eves, because when I first met Bill Gator, I didn't know how much power he had. I didn't know his history until I got to talking to him and going to find old videos. I'm like, this dude was a master. This dude was something else. That build organization was off the chain. Now here I am in this man's building, bringing youth off the street, and we're having these dialogues. And I realized that it was a part of me that he could not get from his sons. It was that street mentality and being able to organize and bring folks together. But Bill Gator introduced me to the politic world.
Yeah.
And before Bill Gator, it was just straight streets. You know, but the politic world, it oversized.
So you must have always had an interest in politics or something.
I ain't never had no interest in politics, man. Never did.
So what did Bill Peoples exposed you to? How did you meet him?
We met through the coalition, and he had an idea to start a radio show with me and his son.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went from me and his son to just me.
Mm-hmm.
And our relationship, of course, built after that because he would get the guests, I would interview him.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So we met because of the coalition.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a businessman. I liked his ideas. You know, I've always been around older people all my life. I was always like the young dude in the corner around all these older dudes. And so that's how I looked at it. He was an older man, had an idea. I knew I could do a radio show because I've been doing this all my life. I've been a DJ. I've been an MC. I've been a promoter. Yeah, I can sit down and interview folks. I'm a talker. And that's how our relationship was built.
Yeah.
Off that radio.
So, is he a co-founder of the coalition, or?
See, people say co-founder, but I don't look at it like that.
Okay.
Yeah, people had ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and brothers came together.
Okay. All right.
That's how I look at it. Brothers came together, and
Now, what is Yamoja then?
that's
what
his
part-
organization.
All right.
Because the coalition was built on different organizations,
Okay.
and Yamoja was one of them.
All right.
You know, Yamoja was one of them. I was the second leader of the coalition. Jupe is now the third leader.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a beautiful thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be able to make a difference like it was making. I remember going to, you know, crossing over and going to Puerto Rican's house that had beef, murder,
Mm-hmm.
and working it out. You know, being in the judge's office, you know, making deals, working with the judges on certain individuals, you know, going to the youth detention centers, talking to these. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was a daily work, man.
Sure.
Something that I really love doing because I'm a talker, and I'm somebody who can get into a room and make both of y'all understand what the problem is,
Mm-hmm.
and let y'all also know that I come from where you at.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing.
Right.
I come from where you at. You know, and especially when the brothers found out how many children I had, and you know, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I come from where you at, brother. You know, because I got this suit on, this tie. This is my outfit, my uniform, because I crisscross.
Yeah.
1 minute I'm on the street, the next minute I'm in City Hall. 1 minute I'm on the block, the next minute I'm in a meeting with all the Thai folks representing y'all.
Now here's the thing. Back to the police department, because have they given you? Do you think they anticipate you coming back, or have they given you any indication of what they?
The police love me.
Do they?
I don't have no problems out of them now.
Wow.
None. And a couple of the officers that came at me back in the 90s is still in the force.
Mm-hmm.
And I see them from time to time.
Mm.
I see them from time to time. But the whole thing with getting that homicide unit back and a lot of officers, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
You know? Because you got a job because of this man's mindset.
Yeah.
This man had an idea that we didn't even think of. I mean, you would think that the organization of the police department itself would say, we don't have a homicide unit, we need to put one back. But it didn't happen like that.
Wow.
It was a young brother who had the same idea, who brought it to a meeting, and then took it to the street. And that's one of the greatest things that I did outside all the other stuff, is being part of the coalition, because it was with the movement of the organization that made the noise that made them listen.
Okay.
And then they approved it. And I'm telling you, man, I know how I felt that day when we got the call that said homicide unit is going to be replaced. It's going to be put back in effect. And now they were hiring, bringing folks from the department to put them on that squad. I'm like, that comes from me.
Do you have a plans to start a new organization, or are you going to join an already existing organization?
I'm not going to join anything. I'm not joining anything. I'm going back to Marc Fuller.
All right.
I'm going back to doing me. And wherever my talents can help, I'm going to let it help.
Right.
but I'm not going to be pulled in no more. I'm not going to have all those folks around me. I'm not going to lose myself in all that again, because I did that, you know, for 20 years. You know, so I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for whatever my God has me to do. Like he told me in the hospital, go home and heal. And I feel like that healing process, like I told a lady yesterday, I said that, and I heard myself say that. I said, I'm healed.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I said it, but that's how I'm feeling. I'm healed. You know, I'm you know, once I started driving again and got my memory back to where I can remember all my children's birthdays, remember all that stuff, I said, you know what? I'm good.
You know what amazed me? Your recovery, because you got that stroke, but as you say, you don't eat pork. You didn't eat pork back that time.
I haven't eaten pork since
my first thing
I
is,
was 18.
Well, maybe the person's eating bad, you know. Drinking as much beer as he wants to do, doing what he wants to do.
Nope.
And you had a good diet.
I stopped eating pork when I was 18, man. I'm 47. I stopped when I was 18.
That's amazing.
You know, 18 years old, first person in my family to go that route.
Yeah.
And it's so many people today that I know from me who don't eat pork because of me. My wife being the number one.
Wow. But see, now here's the thing. Stroke is that affects the brain. Heart attack affects the heart. That's malfunction of the heart. Stroke is a malfunction of the brain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that I think that's one thing we forget about. Okay. I watched a friend of mine, close friend, my former barber, since we're talking about barbers, Johnny Williams, who used to be on Humboldt and Ferry.
He used to be my barber when I was young.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. One of my favorite people. He had his first stroke. Went to see him, and he miraculously recovered, pretty much recovered. And he got back in. I was very happy to see him come back after a few months. He's back behind, you know, cutting hair again. But he didn't follow his diet or medications or whatever. Had another stroke maybe a year or so later.
Got to do what they say.
Yeah. And of course, he was recovering, but it didn't go that well with him. I think he went to visit his family. He passed away there. I think they lived somewhere in Tennessee, Memphis, or Nashville.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, and that was a big loss. You know, we all do what they say. That second stroke didn't have to happen. I still think that to this day.
My stepfather died of a stroke, and he had the stroke. He was in his house by himself. Was able to push himself out the bed. They found him on the floor. And when I got to the hospital, I just remember how he squeezed my hand because he couldn't see on one side. Because strokes interfere with one side of your body.
One side of your body,
it's gone.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's how it was with John.
Yeah, but
he was like this, and you know.
It was this side of my body.
Yeah.
And I still feel little aches, little pains every now and then, but this side was done. And my stepfather had a stroke, and when he squeezed my hand in that hospital, he died. And so all these years later, I have a stroke. Like you said, brother who don't eat the pork. You know, I watch what I eat. Because folks, you know, I get that question all the time, what happened?
Sure.
Can't tell you. You know, all I know is I'm happy. I'm happy right now. So whatever happened that made me happy, that's what happened. I'm happy. I'm telling you, man, you know, the thing that happened in my life is my stroke. Only I can't explain it. But I heard that voice say, I got you. It's like my wife, when I got home, her workplace was closing down. I'm getting cut off everything. I've been playing on the internet, been dealing with this sister on the internet for a couple years. My wife's name come up. Before my next doctor's appointment, my wife had another job where it fully covered me. Her heard that voice again. Didn't I tell you I got you?
Wow.
I'm talking about before my next I was cut off. By my next doctor's appointment, my wife got a new job, and now I'm back fully covered. Medication, everything.
That's incredible.
I'm telling you, man, I'm being blessed right now to chill and not worry about nothing. I don't know what's in store for me, but people that know me, that I've been talking to, they say, Mark, we know something up. Something up.
Yeah.
Something up with you. You know, I know it is. And I'm just taking it real easy. You know, I come outside a couple times out the week, 2 or 3 times out the week, and just ride around looking. I go down to the water to refresh myself.
You in the waterfront?
I go to the waterfront, I go to the sail park to refresh myself, to be near that water. When I get near that water, it just opens up my mind. I can think. And I'm just saying, man, this last 2 years has just been, from where I come from to today, I'm happy. You know, and no matter who I worked with and what I put into their minds and what organization I was part of that made it go a certain way, you know, the coalition got funded. Jan Peters, I had her on my radio show, and she said, I was trying to raise some money to put an album out, and she introduced me to the Oshai Foundation, largest foundation in this area.
Right.
And I remember sitting down, when I got to the restaurant, Jan wasn't there. I haven't seen her since. But my consciousness said it was 2 white dudes sitting at a table. Jan ain't here. They gotta be the ones I'm supposed to be sitting down with. White guy told me, we're not interested in the CD project. We're more interested in the organization. And I said, well, it's on a Tuesday. I said, well, can you come down to the meeting on Friday? Called the group and said, listen, Oshai is coming to the meeting Friday. Now, one of the guys, Elder Giles, knew exactly who I was talking about. I never knew who Oshai was. And he said, Oshai coming.
Right.
And so he came to the meeting. We presented ourselves, and then we started putting the work together to put the funding, the funding work on paper,
right,
to go after this money, which allowed myself and Arlie to get paid to do what we was already doing for free.
Right.
That's what's taking care of me today, because of that connection, which connected us to the Urban League. Because the coalition was too new, we had to get an umbrella over us. Because of that connection, that's what's taking care of me today. See how God works? He was setting it up that long ago. Because the money, I got sick August 28th, the money ended January. If I don't get sick August 28th, I don't get none of this money that I'm getting today to take care of myself. That's how close it was.
So they're still paying you? Oshai, or?
I'm getting paid through the insurance, through the Urban League.